If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel.
I have created a new React.js project using create React app. And after that, I have removed all the boilerplate codes or unwanted files. And then I have changed the app.js file. Then I have run the code. You can see the project here. So here you can see that this is the original sign-in page of the ChatGPT. So I'm going to create a page similar to this. Okay. So first of all, you can see that here is a logo of ChatGPT. So first of all, I'm going to import this logo from my system into the project. So for that, I'm going to create a new folder called images. So inside this folder, I am going to import the image from my system. So I have already downloaded an image in my system. So I'm going to import this image or this logo into this images folder. Then after that, I'm going to create a new folder called components. And inside these components, I'm going to create the file or the component called sign-in as like this way. Okay. So next, what I'm going to do is after creating this component, I'm going to call this component sign in the app.js. Okay. So here I'm going to call the component sign in. Then next, you can see that I am going to import the image into this component. So I'm going to import the chat GPT from images slash chat GPT. Okay. So next I'm going to use the image tag here. And inside this image tag, I'm going to use the source attribute. So inside the source attribute, I'm going to give the chat GPT image as like this way. Then next I'm going to give a style here. That is, I'm going to give the width and height of this image. So here I'm going to give the width as like this way in VW, and also I'm going to give the height also. Then next I'm going to give a style to this div. So here I'm going to give text align to center. Okay. So now you can see that here is the logo of ChatGPT. Then next I'm going to give a margin top. So here in this image tag I'm going to give a margin top as like this way. So now you can see the structure as like this. Then next I'm going to give this text, create the account. So for that I'm going to use the h1 tag as create the account as like this way. So now you can see that this is the structure of our clone as of now. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a margin top for this create the account h1 tag. So here I'm going to give the style that is margin top. Then now you can see the structure as like this way. Okay. Then here they have given a text as like this way. So I'm going to give that text. So I'm going to use the h4 tag as like this way. Then next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the text from here and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, as like this way. And I'm giving here as Google and Google account. So this is a structure as of now. So next I'm going to give a style here. So I'm going to give a style in this h4 tag as font weight 400. So now you can see the structure as like this way. It is fine. So next I'm going to give a br tag So here I am going to give a BR tag as like this way. Then after verify also, then now you can see the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to use this text field and button as like this way. So for that I'm going to install the material UI into our project. So I'm going to search for material UI and I'm going to click on this first link. Then next I'm going to click on this get started button. After that I'm going to click on this installation button. You can see that in the sidebar. Then next I'm going to copy this command and I'm going to run the command in the new terminal. So now Material UI will be installed into our project. Okay, so Material UI has been installed into our project. So we can see that in the package.json. So here you can see that we have installed the Material UI. Okay, so next I'm going to use the text field from Material UI. So after this text, I'm going to use the text field. So I have imported or I'm going to import the text field into this component, and next here I'm going to use the variant as outlined. Okay, and next I'm going to use the label. I'm going to give the label as username. Okay, fine. Then next I'm going to increase the width of this text field. So I'm going to give this child, that is I'm going to give the sx tag. So inside this sx tag I'm going to give the width. So it is fine as of now. So next I'm going to use the button component from the material UI. So here I'm going to use the button after text field. I have imported it from material UI, and here I'm going to give the name of the button, that is continue. Then next I'm going to give the variant as contained. So here I'm going to give the SX tag, and I'm going to give the width as same as that of the text field as like this way. So this is a structure as of now. So next I'm going to give the BR tag also. So I'm going to give the BR tag below this text field. Okay, so now you can see the structure as like this way. The button is moved downward. So next I'm going to give the margin top for this button. So I'm going to give the margin top for about 1 VW. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to give the color for this button. So I'm going to give the similar color of like that of the original button. So I'm going to select one of the color from the HTML color codes. So I'm going to take the HTML color codes website. Here I'm going to click on the first link, and you can see that this is the original color. So I'm going to select a similar color. From here we can select the color as like this way. Okay, so I'm going to select this particular color. So I'm going to paste that color here. So now you can see this is the structure of our button. So I'm going to increase the height of this button. So here I'm going to give the style, that is height, for about 4.5 VW. So now you can see the structure of our button as like this way. So I think it is fine. Okay. Then below this button, you can see there is a text. So I'm going to give a text here. So for that, I'm going to use the h5 tag. So after this button, I'm going to use the h5 tag as like this way. And here I'm going to give as logging by using Google account. Okay, so now you can see the structure as like this way. So I'm going to give a style, that is font weight. So here I am going to give the font weight for about 400. Okay, fine. So here you can see that there is a or. So for that I am going to give an h4 tag as like this way. So here I am going to give the or inside this h4 tag. You can see the structure as like this way. So here I'm going to give a class name that is or itself. Here is the or. So next I'm going to give some style. So I am going to create a new file called signin.css. So inside the signin.css, I am going to define the style. So before that, I am going to import the signin.css into this signin.js file. Okay. So next I am going to do is I am going to define the style here. So I'm going to give or before for the horizontal line before the or. So I'm going to give the content as like this way with a space. Then I am going to give a display that is block. So next I'm going to give the height. After that I'm going to give the width for about 130 px. Okay. So next I'm going to give the position absolute and top 50 percentage and left 19 percentage. Then after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the background color. So I'm going to give the background color. First of all, I'm going to take the black as the background color. Then I'm going to reduce the darkness as like this way. Okay, fine. Next, I'm going to do is to copy this and to paste it here. And I'm going to change this into after. Then, so next I'm going to do is to change it is left to 55 percentage. Okay. After this, I'm going to give the style for the or itself. So here I'm going to give the style for or. So first I'm going to give the font weight. So I'm going to give font weight that is 400. Then next I'm going to give the position relative. Then after that I'm going to give the max width. Then next I'm going to give the margin 100 px auto. Then text align to center. Okay, so now you can see the structure of our clone as like this way. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to give or reduces this margin. So I'm going to give a 30 px. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So here you can see that they are providing other method for login rather than Google authentication. So I'm going to use the Facebook and GitHub as the other providers or other method of login. So I'm going to design that. So here I'm going to give the a div tag after this or as like this way. So inside this div tag, I'm going to use the button component from the material UI. Okay. Then inside this button, I'm going to use the image tag as like this way. So inside this image tag, I'm going to use the source attribute. So next I'm going to import the images or the logos from my system. I have already downloaded the images or logo of GitHub and Facebook. So here you can see that this is the images. So I'm going to import these two images into the images folder as like this way. So next I'm going to import that images into this component. So I'm going to import the Facebook from images slash facebook.png. Then next I am going to import GitHub from images slash github.png. Okay. So next I am going to use the GitHub here. So next I am going to do to give the style for this image tag. So I am going to copy the style from this logo and to paste it here. And next I am going to remove this margin top And after that, I'm going to give the VW here as like this way. Then next I'm going to give the VW for this style here. Okay. Then after that, I'm going to give continue with GitHub. Okay, fine. So now you can see that this is a structure. So I am going to give a style in this div. So I am going to give the style that is align items to sender. So next I am going to give the style for this button. So next I am going to give the SX tag in this button component. And here I am going to give that is color gray. And next I am going to give the border that is 1px solid gray. After that I am going to give a padding for about 1 VW. And next I am going to give the width also. So I am going to give a width for about 25 VW. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So here I am going to give 2 VW for height and width. So now you can see the structure as like this way. Okay, fine. So next I am going to give the provider for that is Facebook. So I am going to copy this div from here and to paste it below this div. And next I am going to give the Facebook logo. So before that I am going to give margin top for 1 VW. And next I am going to give the Facebook logo here. Okay. So here I am going to give as continue with the Facebook. So now you can see the structure as like this way. Here you can see that there is continue with the GitHub and continue with the Facebook. So next you can see that there is a terms of use and privacy policy. So I'm going to copy this text from here. And next I am going to give the h4 tag below this div as like this way. Then inside this I am going to paste this. And next you can see that this is a structure of our clone as of now. So I'm going to give here the font weight as the style. That is I'm going to give the font weight for about 400 or 300. And next I'm going to give the text align to sender. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to give a color. So I'm going to copy this color and to paste it here. Okay. So now you can see that this is a structure. So here I'm going to give 450. Then so we have done the design part of our ChatGPT sign-in clone. So next I'm going to do the functionalities. So next I'm going to give the functionality for the sign-in. So I'm going to use the authentication of Firebase. So I'm going to the Firebase website. So here I'm going to click on the first link. Then we will be redirected to next I'm going to click on this get started button. After that I'm going to click on this add project button. We have to create a new project. So here I am going to give the name of the project. So I am going to give the name of the project as ChatGPT clone as like this way. So after giving the name of the project, I am going to click on the continue button. Then next I am going to disable this analytics section of this project, and next I am going to click on the create project button. So now the new project will be created. We have to wait for that. Okay, so now our new project is created. So I am going to click on continue and we will be redirected to the console of our project. So this is the console of our project. You can see there is three icon, that is iOS, Android and web. So I'm going to click on the web icon. Then as a first step, we have to register the app. So for that, I'm going to give the name of the app. So here I'm going to give the name of the app as Chat GPT clone itself. So here I'm going to give the name as Chat GPT clone. After giving the name of the app, I'm going to click on register app. Then as a second step, we have to install the Firebase into our project. So as I'm using npm, I'm going to install the Firebase by using this command. So I'm going to copy this command and to run this in the terminal. So now the Firebase will be installed into our project. So Firebase has been installed into our project. You can see that in the package.json. Okay. So next I'm going to do is, here you can see that in the document, after installing Firebase, here is a code snippet. So I'm going to copy the whole code from here and I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to give the name of the folder as Firebase. Then inside this folder, I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to give the name of the file as setup.js, as like this way. Then next I'm going to paste that complete code that I have copied from the document. Okay, so here I'm going to remove this commands as like this way for make it more clear. Okay, so here you can see that there is a Firebase config which contains API key, auth domain, project ID, etc. So we don't want to bring or make any changes in this section. So I'm going to minimize it as like this way. So you can see that when we look here, they have initialized this project by using or by importing the initialized app from Firebase app. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to import one thing from Firebase auth. Okay, as like this way. Before that, I'm going to take the Firebase document. I'm going to click on the continue to console button. At the time, you can see that we will be redirected to the console of our project, Chatgpt clone. And here you can see that in the sidebar, there is a build button. So I'm going to click on the build button and you can see that there is authentication, app check, Firestore database, real-time database, etc. From here, I'm going to click on this authentication. Then next, I'm going to click on the get started button. Okay, so now you can see that here we are in the sign in method section. So here you can see that there is an add new provider button. So I am going to click on the add a new provider. We need to add a provider. Okay, so we know that we have used or we have given login by using Google account and also by using GitHub and Facebook. So we have to enable that providers in the Firebase or here. So first of all, you can see that here is a native providers, additional providers and custom providers. And I'm going to enable these additional providers. So first you can see that here is Google, the first additional provider. So I'm going to click on the Google and you can see that here is the enable button. So I'm going to enable it. Next, I'm going to select mail ID as like this way and I'm going to click on the save button. So now you can see that Google will be enabled. Okay. Okay. So now you can see that this is Google is enabled. So next I'm going to enable the GitHub provider. So here I'm going to click on add a new provider and I'm going to click on the GitHub and here I'm going to click on the enable button. And after that you can see that we have to give the client ID and the client secret. So for that I'm going to take the GitHub website. And here I am going to click on this first link. Then we will be redirected to our GitHub page. This is the GitHub website. So here you can see that there is a profile image section in the right side top. So I'm going to click on that section. And here you can say that in this drop down there is a settings. So when I click this settings, here you can see that in the left side there is a developer settings at the bottom. So I have clicked the developer settings. And here you can see an option or button that is new GitHub app. So I'm going to create a new GitHub app by clicking this button. So here I am going to give the name of the app as chat clone. Okay. So after giving the name of the app, here you can see that we have give the homepage URL. So I'm going to copy this URL, the localhost URL, and I'm going to paste it here. Then when we move downward, you can see that we have to provide a callback URL. So I'm going to copy the callback URL from the Firebase. They have provided this URL here. So I'm going to copy and paste it here. And when we move downward, they have already activated this webhook. So I am going to deactivate that. And in the bottom, you can see that I'm going to click on this button. Okay. So now the registration is completed. Okay. So next you can see that here is the client ID. So I'm going to copy this client ID from here and to paste it in this text field. And next we have to provide the client secret. So here itself you can see that there is an option for generating new client secret. So I'm going to click that, and here you can see that the client secret has been generated. So I'm going to copy this client secret that generated now and to paste it in the second text field. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this save button here. So at that time you can see that the GitHub also enabled. So we have enabled this Google and the GitHub provider for now. Okay. So next I'm going to provide the Facebook. So for that I'm going to click on the add new provider button, and here I'm going to click on the Facebook icon. So first of all I'm going to click on this enable button, and we have to provide the app ID and the app secret. So for that, I'm going to take the developer.facebook.com. Here, I'm going to click on the My Apps in the nav bar. Next, you can see that I'm going to click on the Create App button. Then I'm going to click on this section where allow people to log in by using the Facebook account. So next, I'm going to click on this next button. And after that, I'm going to give a name for the app. So I'm going to give the name for the app, that is Chat Clone. After that, I'm going to click on the Create App button. So next we have to give the password of our account. So I'm going to give the password of our account. Then after that, I'm going to click on the Submit button. So our new app is created. So here you can see that here is the app ID. So I'm going to copy this app ID. So we have to give the app ID here. So I'm going to paste the app ID here. Next we have to get the app secret. So for that, here you can see that there is an app settings in the left bar. App settings contains a basic. So I'm going to click on that basic. At that time you can see that we will get the app secret from here. So I'm going to copy this app secret and to paste it in the second input field. Okay. So we have provided the app ID and app secret. So next I'm going to click on this save button, and you can see that Facebook is also enabled. So we have now enabled this Google, Facebook and GitHub providers. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to take our project. So the first function that we have to import is get auth from this Firebase auth. Then second, we have to import the function for the providers. So we are using three providers. For we have to import three functions. So first of all, I'm going to import Google provider. Then next, I'm going to import Facebook auth provider, and last GitHub auth provider. Okay. So after that, I'm going to define a variable. So I'm going to give the name of the variable as auth, to which I'm going to assign this get auth. So inside this get auth, I'm going to pass this app variable as an argument. So when we are using this authentication or the Firestore of this Firebase, we have to pass this app into the function that we are importing. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to export this variable for using it in the other files. Okay. So next I'm going to define another variable. So I am going to give the name of the variable as Google provider. So here I'm going to do is to assign the Google auth provider function as like this way. So we have to assign it as like new Google auth provider, and inside this as an argument we have to pass the app. Then next I'm going to do is to export this Google provider variable for using it in other files. Then next I'm going to define the Facebook provider as like that of Google provider, and we have to assign the Facebook auth provider function as like this way, new Facebook auth provider, and we have to pass the app as an argument. Then I'm going to export it. Then at last we have to define the variable that is GitHub provider. Okay, so I'm going to assign the GitHub host provider, and I'm going to give the app as an argument as like this way. Okay, so we have completed the authentication section, the setup.js file. Okay, next I'm going to define a function in the sign-in component. So here I'm going to define the function called Google sign-in. Const Google sign-in as an arrow function. Then inside this Google sign-in, I'm going to give a function. So I'm going to import the function from Firebase auth. So the function that I'm going to import from Firebase auth is sign in with pop-up as like this way. So next I'm going to use this sign in with the pop-up function inside this Google sign in, and I'm going to give async await, and after that I'm going to give the try catch. So here I'm going to give the error, that is console.error, as like this way. Then next I'm going to pass this sign in with the pop-up function inside this try. Okay. So after that I'm going to do is to call this Google sign in function in the on click of this Google button as like this way. Next, I'm going to provide two arguments into this sign in with the pop-up function. So the first argument that I'm going to give to this is auth, and next I'm going to give the Google provider. So these two functions that we have already defined in the setup.js file. So I have imported the function. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this Google sign in and to paste it here, and I'm going to change the name of the function as Facebook sign in. Then next I'm going to do is to paste the function again, and here I am going to give the name as GitHub signing. So here I am going to give the second argument as Facebook provider, and in this function I am going to give the second argument as GitHub provider. Okay, so after that I am going to call this Facebook sign in and the GitHub sign in functions in this on click of these buttons. So here I am going to call the Facebook sign in, and here I am going to call the GitHub sign in this GitHub button on click. Okay, so we have provided the functionalities for these three button, that is Google, GitHub and Facebook. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a sample username here, and after that I'm going to click on the continue button. So next you can see that after clicking continue button, a pop-up will be arrived, and I'm going to select the Google account. So next the user will be logged in. Okay. So for checking that, I'm going to take the Firebase. Then here you can see that in the users section, here is the details of the user who is logged in. Okay. So we can check that in the project itself. So I'm going to take the project. So here I'm going to log the auth that we have imported from the setup.js file as like this way. So next I'm going to take the console here. So here you can see that in the console, there is the auth as like this way. So when we take that auth, you can see that inside the auth, there is a property called current user. So I am going to take that current user. So here you can see that the email ID is there. The email is verified is there. So we can understand that the user is logged in. Okay. So next I am going to check the responsiveness of the project. So here I am going to, here you can see that the when I reducing the screen size, it is not responsive as of now. So for that, I'm going to give a font size. So here I'm going to remove this console first. And next I'm going to give a font size for this text here. So I'm going to give a font size for about 1 VW. So you can see that I'm going to take the inspect again. So as of now, that text is reducing along with reducing the screen size. Okay. Then next I am going to give the font size for this create the account title. So here I'm going to give the font size as like this way. So here you can see that this is a structure. So I'm going to take the inspect and I'm going to reduce the screen size. So at that time you can see that create the account is also reducing with the along with the screen size. Okay. So after that you can see that there is a text field and a button below this text. So here I'm going to give a style for this text field, that is font size I'm going to give as 1 VW, and I'm going to give a height also, that is I'm going to give a height for about 3 VW. So next I'm going to give a style that is font size to this button also. So here I'm going to give the font size that is 1 VW. Okay. So now you can see that it is responsive. So next below that you can see that there is a login with the Google account. So I'm going to give a font size for that also. So here I am going to give font size that is 1 VW as like this way. So now you can see that it is also responsive. It is also reducing the size along with the size of the screen. Okay, so as like this way. So next you can see that below that there is two button or two div for GitHub and Facebook login. So I am going to give the same font size style for this two div. So here I am going to give as font size for this button, that is I'm going to give 1 VW. So I'm going to copy this and to paste it in the button below, that is for the Facebook as well. Then I am going to give a font size 1 VW for this terms of use and privacy policy also. So at last you can see that here it is reducing. So next you can see that there is two horizontal line and an OR section. So I'm going to give a style or change the style. So here in this signin.css component or file, you can see that I'm going to give here as 1 VW, or I'm going to give as 0.2 VW as like this way. So now you can see the structure as like this. So next I'm going to copy and paste this height below here. Okay. So now you can see that I'm going to change the width also. So this is a structure as of now. So I'm going to copy this width and paste it here. Then next you can see that max width as like this way. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to change this margin. Then you can see that here I'm going to reduce the size of the screen, but it is not responsive. So I'm going to give a font size also for this or. So here I'm going to give a font size for about 1 VW. So now that is fine now. Okay. So now you can see that the text field is not responsive. The height of the text field is not reducing as the screen reducing. So I'm going to do is to use the input field instead of this text field. So I'm going to use the input as like this way. And here I'm going to give the class name, that is username. Okay. So next I'm going to give the style for this username. Here I'm going to give the placeholder as username. So I'm going to give this style such as I'm going to give a width and font size. So here I'm going to give the width for about 24 VW, and I'm going to give a font size for about 1 VW. Next I'm going to give the height also. So here I'm going to give a height. So next I'm going to give a style for the placeholder. So I'm going to take the signin.css and here I'm going to give the style for this username placeholder. That is, I'm going to give as font size, and I'm going to give a padding left for about 1 VW. Okay, so now you can see the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to reduce the width of this horizontal line. So here you can see that. So I'm going to reduce the width. That means here in the signin.css file, I'm going to give the width as like this way for both before and after. Okay, so next I'm going to increase the left of before as like this way. So I am going to give as left as like this way. So now you can see that this is a structure. Then after that I am going to reduce the height also. So here I am going to give as height 0.1 VW for both. Okay. Then I am going to change the color also. Just reduces the darkness. Okay. So it is completed. As of now, this is a structure. So I am going to take the inspect. So you can see that it is responsive completely now. So I am going to take the smallest device. Okay, fine.
If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel